start. Kum learning a black Gemara. Today's daf is of Zayin Amud Aleph. We are up to the Mishnah, and I'll just show you today how that there's always makom menichu chamlis gadaba. There's always things that you can pick up in a Gemara or in a Shainim that no one else picks up, no one else notices. But there's a fascinating Rashi in this Gemara here that I've never seen anyone quote, and I'll tell you, it's so controversial, but I'll tell you about it when we get there. And most surprising is absolutely no one picks it up. Okay, the Gemara. So we learned so far about Stam Nazir, 30 days, and then Machlekes Bapadra Masna, and then we had Nazir of Avshalom, which is a Nazir forever, but when the hair gets long, you make a betar. You use a razor, not a scissor, a razor, and you lighten your load. And we had an argument whether it's every 7 days, every 30 days, every 12 months, or whether that's only by Avshalom, but today everybody's only every 30 days. When we say that you take a hair every 30 days, doesn't mean you have to take a hair every 30 days. Remember that. It means that you're allowed to the minimum time that you can wait from one time to the next 30 days. If you don't want to take a haircut in 30 days, but of course you don't have to. It's only to make your life easier. And when you do take a haircut, you have to bring kabbanas. So it's not so simple, bring every 30 days. So it's up to you. But the minimum time is 30 days, or the minimum time is 12 months, or the minimum is 7 days. Okay? Why I'm saying that is because we'll have another kind of nazir in a minute. Says the Mishnah, Omar, if a person says, Hareini Nazir Achas Gedoila, Hareini Nazir Achas Ketani. He didn't give a time. He just said, I'll be a Nazir for a long time, or I'll be a Nazir for a short time. Or Afilum Mikan Vatseifa Elam. We're going to learn, Rabbi will say later, that the word Nazir Achas applies to case number 3. I will be a single Nazir, even from today to the end of time. Is Nazir Shleishim Yom. Since you didn't give a time, and it's 30 days. You said today to the end of time, you were just, talking how people talk, expressing, it's going to be lang with the Golos. It doesn't mean that you want it to be lang with the Golos in, 1900 something years. It's an expression. Same thing here. Says the Gemara, but that's Gemara will explain. Why do we say only 30 days? He said now to the end of time. It's an expression. You're saying that I feel that it's the muchanish, the difficulty of being a nazir even for 30 days is like take forever. Okay, Tanan, we'll learn in the next Mishnah. Hareini, in the next 2 Mishnahs. Hareini nazir mekan ad mokum plani. Not about time, you're talking about space. I will be a nazir from today as long as it takes to get from here to that point B. We say kama yamim bekan v'mokum plani. Then we look, okay, how long does it take to travel from here to that place? If it's pachas mishleishim yom, let's say it takes 20 days of travel to get to the nazir shleishim yom. We already learned before the minimum time a person can be a nazir is 30 days. So he took upon you, accepted naziris, it's 20 days. But the im lav, let's say it takes 45 days, then nazir kiminyan on yamim. You'll be a nazir for the length of time it takes you to travel to that next city. Now, the question is, why, when it comes to our Mishnah, you say, from here to the end of the world, we say that what it means from here to the end of the world, it means it's an expression, but it's 30 days. So how come when he says from here to point B, if it's greater than 30 days, why don't you say, take it literally, it means as many days it takes to get there. Say the same thing. I'll be a nazir for 30 days. It's an expression. It's a long time, a long way away. That I feel becoming a nazir is such a big deal, like from traveling from here to there. Omar Rava said, how can you compare? Here it's talking about shehechezik baderech. He actually is traveling that road. So there are 2 ways of understanding the pshat here in the Rishonim. One way is, like most Rishonim learn, that we already had before yesterday, when a person finds himself in an eitz tzara, or you need the Eibush to look after you when you're traveling, brachas, it's full sakana. So you decided to become frumer, you'll become a nazir, and the schus of the fact that you became a nazir, the Eibush will take care of you. So then, therefore, what did you want to be the entire length of the trip? You want to be a nazir. If it takes 45 days, it's 40 days. Last time you have a plan here. That's one way of looking. The other way of looking at it is over there, you made an expression from here to travel from here to the end of the world. But over here, you actually started traveling this trip. So this trip can be the longest trip ever because you're actually doing it. And the fact, or someone says that you're planning to do it. And because you're actually physically doing it, so it's not hyperbole. It's real. And therefore, that's a time period you're giving yourself. Says the Gemara, okay, well, what about the letter called Parsa? Then let's calculate the parsais, how far the trip is, and say that each parsa should be a separate naziris, because we find later on we'll say if a person says I'll be a nazir like the hairs on my head, so therefore we say you'll be not like it, you'll be a nazir according to how many hairs you have on your head. So over here also, why don't we say the same cheshbon? When I say the distance from here to there, let's look at the distance, break it down to parsais. Why the Gemara doesn't say milim, I don't know, but let's say break it down to parsais, and that's how long you should, how many naziris you have. So you'll have, let's say it's 30 parsais, it'll be 30 times 30. The Papa says, we're talking about a region to money parsa. That's not how they calculate. They look at time. They don't look at distance. It takes a month to get there, 2 months to get there. They don't look at how many parsais. So therefore, it's one trip. Says the Gemara, the leve call avna the avna. Why don't we say either Shomer say avna? Avna means every day. Count the days. If it's 45 days, make it 45 times 30. If it's 31 days, make it 31 times 30. Count each day separate. Or others say avna means hotels, because where you station, where you stop at night. Others say it means cities. Like Rashi says, it means cities where generally these are the cities that people go to buy the market thing. But could be there's 10 cities, even though it might take 45 days to get there. And each one, stops at the hotel, stops at the city. So therefore, each one should be treated as a different naziris. Me like Tanan, didn't we learn? If a person says, had any nazir, kafara others, I'll be a nazir like the dirt in the ground, or kasara, the hair in my head, or kachil hayam, like the sand and by the seashore. Hareze nazir olam. What happens? We don't know how many grains of sand there are, or we don't know how many hairs you have on your head. That's true, but if you don't say anything, what happens is you'll be a nazir forevermore, but not one long naziris. It'll be every 30 days another nazir, every 30 days another nazir. You have to, in other words, we say that you're saying these many naziris should I take upon myself. So here also, if there's so many days, don't say I'll be a nazir for 45 days, one long nazir. Say I'll be 45 naziris. What's it? Yeah. Even a korcha, you can't find it here somewhere. I don't know. Never checked that closely. In the ears, maybe. Still Rashi. Call milsa the isbeit ketsusa like tani. If you anything which has a fixed amount, we're not saying if there's a fixed amount. If a guy says 10, even though it's a big number, we say it means duration. If one naziris duration time from point A to point B is fixed, we know exactly how much it is. So it doesn't matter if it's 45 days or 75 days. What you're saying is one naziris, that duration of it takes to go from point A to point B. Here's on the head, there's no limits. If you wanted to be a nazir for a certain amount of time, there's no certain amount of time to give us. So what you're really saying is, I want to be in this nazir over and over again, and because there's an abundant amount of hair or sand, you mean you'll be in nazir the rest of your life, every 30 days. So, kol milsa the is based like 20. If it has a fixed amount, that's not what the Mishnah is talking about over there when it says you're going to be a number of naziris. But Tanya, like we learned, if a guy says I'll be nazir, this is supporting another question. If a guy says I'll be nazir my entire life, I'll be a nazir forever. Nazir olam. He'll be a nazir forever. Sorry, yeah, he's saying Hareini nazir olam. So I'll be a nazir olam. For example, he says I'll be a nazir olam. What do you call it? He becomes a nazir olam, which means that he becomes a nazir for the rest of his life. And like Avshalom, he takes a haircut, to lighten his load, whatever it is. But why? Because there's no real fixed amount here. There's no fixed amount. But he didn't say like the granules of the sand to say he meant 100 bunch of naziris. So he's a nazir forever, and it's one long naziris. It would be like Avshalom that you lighten your load. But if he says I feel a me'ashana, he gives a fixed time. He says 100 years, or I feel elashanim, even though there's no way in the world that you're going to live that long. Nobody lives 1,000 years. So nevertheless, or 100 years after Bar Mitzvah, the chance that you're not going to live that long. Because he gave a fixed amount, we're going to say that this is a nazir li'olam. So last time it's Nazir Olam, Nazir Olam. Because you get a fixed amount, you'll be a Nazir Li Olam, which means you're Nazir the rest of your life, but you cannot lighten your hair. You cannot take a haircut at all. It's one long Nazir. You said I'll be a Nazir. I'll take the Nazir of 30 days, but I'm going to lengthen it forevermore.
Avshalom.
Ain't the Nazir Olam and Nazir Li Olam. Sorry, Avshalom.
So he has to take a haircut.
That's the one opinion that said that 30 days because sorry, every week because it's like a Ben Melech. Okay.
There's a distinction. I was Shabbos or Yom Tov. It's a different type.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. So that's the only difference that we found. Rabba Amar Rabba says, shiny sidus. Rabbi, I'll tell you, don't you ask me a question. How come by here we say you're becoming a Nazir this many times? And over here we don't say that. Shiny sidus, or a person says from this place to that place, we don't say as many parshas. Shiny side here is different. When it comes to land, sadna the arachadni, the entire land is like an envelope, which is all one, one piece. The entire world is considered one piece of land. That's why you can be kind of have a land here and make a kinyan here. You'll be zeicha all your lands around the world. When it comes to hairs, every hair has its own follicles. Every ear is separate. The majalik bas and then the pregnant, just like in the no two hairs come out of the same root. So therefore, they're different. That's why when you say I want my naziris to be like hair, you mean I want a number of naziris. That's what you're saying. This is going to point out to you amazing Rashi. I'll show you in a second. Gabi Yemen Nami. You know what I want to say? Sorry? Very good. Gabi Yemen Nami, by days also, it said, Vahi Erev, Vahi Voike Yom Echad. It says in the Pasuk, Vahi Erev Yom Echad. Yom Echad means distinct from the next day. So each day is separate from the next day. So let's count also, when a person says a certain amount of days, let's say that means a nazir for each day. Over there, the Torah is not trying to say that each day is separated from the next day. All the days is one long continuum. It's one hemshech. I said, my karma, what's the Torah trying to tell you? Trying to tell you that Yemama v'leila chad yemu, that day and night is one day. The Gemara is not being pedantic. The Gemara is just saying the day and night is a day. It's one long continuum. One long continuum. If you look in Tosis, I can find the Tosis. Sorry, Tosis I love outside page. But yeah. Hachikama Yemama v'leila chad yema. See Tosis on the page, right in the middle of the page. There are about 8 lines in the wide lines. Tosis are just looking at very interesting Tosis and the contrasting to Rashi. The Zayin on the base is about 8 lines into the wide lines, and the last 7, 8 words of the line where it says 10 lines in the wide line. Hachikama, bold words. Hachikama Yemama v'leila chad yema. Says Tosis, Pirish, ha'erev shelifnei hayom, the night which is before the day, the Inyan Shabbos Yom Tov. When it comes to how do we know what a day is? So the Torah tells you about erev v'hi night followed by day. So you should know when it comes to Shabbos, how do you observe Shabbos? First Friday night and then Shabbos by day. Don't think that it's Shabbos by day followed by Motzei Shabbos. No, it's Friday night followed by Shabbos day. It's not coming to distinguish one day from the next and cut them off. It's one continuous, clear, right? Now look at Rashi. If you look over here, there's Girsois everywhere. It's very difficult to learn Rashi, especially, but you know the Rishonim because they keep on changing. You see, there's so many. There's 5 different actually commentaries that all they do is change Girsois.
Do we know who the Mechaber of this Rashi was?
You say generally it's Rashi, but the other Rishonim mixed in, so we don't know why. And I'll tell you a second what I think it is. So you look at Rashi now, very important Rashi. In light of the fact as follows, that we know that the Ibn Ezra had 2 students who went to London and they wrote a thesis that Shabbos is day followed by night. Okay, and then the Ibn Ezra had a dream, whatever it is, he had to go and write the famous Shir Shel Shabbos, the letter of Shabbos, where he explains that Shabbos is Friday night, Shabbos by day. The Rashbam in Chumash Parashat Bereshis writes that by Erev Vayivokim means day followed by night. Erev means day which ends with evening, and Boiker means night which ends with Boiker. So you look in Chumash today in Bereshis, you won't find it because all the printers decide to take it out. Can't be, even though Rashbam writes in Parashat Yeshiv, he's only here to give you pshat. And even though sometimes it might be different than Gemara's, but nevertheless, they took it out. You look at Rashi. Rashi, and therefore could very well be that this is the Rashba. Look at Rashi. Rashi here is Hasam. The last word of the line is Hasam. It's a very important Rashi, about 13, 14 lines to the bottom. Hasam. The Ksiv Kra. The pasuk says Yom Echad, one day. Lab Mishum the Ifsikum Hadadi. The Torah is not trying to tell you that each day is separate from the next day. You know why he said it's one day? The Kaimlan, because the rule is the Laila the Yamama Chadu, that night and day forms a day. Shahalayla Hileches Achar Hayom. The night, it comes after the day. There's not one person here who says there's a mistake in Rashi. This is exactly what the Rashbam says in Chumash Bereshis. So Ilachayla, this Rashi is a Rashbam. Now it's an amazing. This is Rashi and Gemara. It's an amazing Rashi. Well, that's a separate. We won't go on as the whole thing on that. Why Lila sometimes is he says Lila sometimes is masculine, sometimes is feminine. On the Haggadah, look at Vilna on the Haggadah. Mashtan Halayla Zemekol Halaylas. He talks about that. Barichas. Then everybody talks about him, whether grammatically it's correct or not correct. Anyway, but it's an amazing Rashi. And if you take the Gemara literally, the Gemara said that as well. Yemama v'layla chad yoyma. The Gemara changes the order from the pasuk. The pasuk is he erev ahivoiker. So the Gemara should have said layla v'yemama chad yoymahu. The Gemara says Yemama v'layla chad yoymahu. Interesting. Anyway, food for thought. And all the printers have pulled the Rashbam out. You know the senses. It was our own senses, by the way. And they missed this Rashi. That's a proof. That proves that nobody learned the second Nazir.
There is a shitty that the night was like that. It was a day and night that changed night and day on the Torah.
Yeah, true. When we say night and day, I mean dark and light. Talking about physical. It's clear that no one learned this Rashi Nazir. It's clear because there would be first they would have brought it down. This board, they would have corrected. They would have gone and said, "Oh, the mistake in Rashi was swapped around."
But this Indian that the Gemara itself says first Yom and then Laila.
That doesn't prove anything. So the Gemara maybe
that's the Turkish washing day on.
Yeah,
That's how
exactly.
people speak.
Yeah.
I get up in the morning. I go to bed at night.
Rashi is not the rest. It's not at all clear. It's clear. Okay, let's continue the Gemara. So the Gemara continues. Rava says, I don't have this whole shakla v'tarya. You want to know in our Mishnah why when he says at Seif Olam, why what does it mean be a nazir of the rest of his life every 30 days? It says in the Mishnah, I will be one nazir. However, why didn't they all pick it up? Because you look closely in the Mishnah, it says here, Hareini nazir achas gedola. I'll be a nazir for a long time. Hareini nazir achas, I'll be a nazir for a short time. But then I feel the Mekan at Seif Olam doesn't say nazir achas. So therefore, they understood Pshat in the Mishnah is that here he's not saying Nazir Achas. He's just saying I'm a Nazir, make Kanvat Sefer Elam. So we have to give all the different answers. That is just hyperbole and so on. But the Rava says I'm learning Pshat in the Mishnah that this is a preface. Harei Nazir Achas is not just a specific case; it's a preface to all the cases in our Mishnah. Okay, next Mishnah. Hareini Nazir v'yem echad. You said the word Nazir, and we said before, Stam Naziris is 30 days, and then it said v'yem echad. It sounds like you want to be a Nazir a second time. But the second Naziris, you only said 1 day. But we learned before, you cannot be a Nazir less than 30 days. So it becomes 2 Naziris. Hareini Nazir v'shach. Even you say 1 hour. You can't be a Nazir for an hour. Hareini Nazir achas amachze. I'll be a Nazir 1.5. Hareini Nazir shtayim. Because you said the word Nazir, that's already finished. So you make a full stop there. That's already a Nazir. And then whatever you add on afterwards is like a second Neder. And therefore, it's like you Nazir twice. Says the Gemara, the principle is the same. You said Nazir and they said something else. Why do you have to say 3 different cases, Yom, Shah, and Machzeh? See, we need it. If you would have said, I'm a Nazir, and 1 day, I would say, look, you're a Nazir, that's not a complete Nazir. Then 1 day, and 1 day can't be a Nazir. I'm to Lachar, therefore, come on, we're going to count that you have 2 Nazirs. If you said, I'll be a Nazir for 1 hour, you want to amplify the 1 hour, the maximum you can amplify an hour makes sense. It's a day. 24, multiple 24 times, like taking a day and making it a month, a multiple of 30 times. But taking an hour and turning it to a month, you're amplifying it by over 700 times. That's way too much. So maybe 1 hour becomes a day. And what you're really saying is, I'll be 31 day Nazir. Because it's too much to say that 1 hour should become a whole new Naziris for another 30 days. That's what you'd have thought. Let's make it calculate 31 days. So no. As soon as you said the word Nazir, that's a full stop. That's already a no. And whatever you say afterwards, we imagine, oh, you said that. Forget what you said in the beginning. Imagine a person, Hareini Nazir Shoachas. Sorry, Hareini Nazir Shoachas. Not Vishor, Hareini Nazir What happens? To be Nazir for 30 days because you can't be Nazir for an hour. That's how you have to treat it, like two separate sentences. So once we know that already, what else? Why do you have to tell us machzor? I would say he wasn't really didactic. It's an expression. This guy went into fractions already. He said, "I want to be a Nazir one. I want to be a Nazir and a half." Sounds like you want 45 days. Sounds like you're being very particular over here. The nachas you were so careful here. You were so pedantic. Maybe we don't start two nazirs. It's one long nazir is 45 days. No, you're full nazir and you're nazir twice. Exactly, 2 blocks nazirs. Said the Mishnah, Hareini Nazir, if I'll be a Nazir, Shleishim Yom, I'll be a Nazir for 30 days. Now here is different. You said the word Nazir, but you're spelling out now what you want. And you're saying Shloishim Yom, 30 days, Vish Shoachas. So how do we treat that? Here already, we're going to say it's not 2 Nazirison. If you would have said, Hareini Shleishim Yom Nazir, that's it. And it's like again, like before. But because you said Hareini Nazir, that was your preface. I'm gonna be Nazir. And then now you're telling us how long you want to be for, and you're spelling it out. Shleishim Yom V'Sha'achas. We'll treat it. That's the length of time you want to be. Nazir Shleishim V'Echad Yom. So, but a shah there's no such thing as shahs because you don't break a month down into hours. You break a month down into days, and there's no zeros into hours. So therefore, we turn the hour into an amplified, expanded to a day. That's it. So 31 days. Makes a comment. If he said 31 days, I will almost if he would have spelled it out, and he said a superfluous word, the word yom twice. He said 30 days, an extra word. I'm going to follow the opinion that says that if you say a word that's extra, we're not going to say, oh, you're waffling. We're going to say you mean something with that. You're inferring something, as if you're trying to say. It's 2 separate. I'm making 2 separate vows here. Is Nazir time. As if you say Shleish Yom, full stop. That's one vow, and then Yom Echad is another vow, and we know that you cannot be a Nazir for Yom Echad, so therefore we're going to expand it to 30 days. Rab, and where do you find that if you say an extra word that you're not saying anything different? All I'm doing, I'm spelling out what I mean. I'm spelling out 31 days. So I said 30 days and 1 day. So isn't that the same as 31 days? I said an extra word day. So what? No. So Rab Savalak Rabbi Kiva. Rav holds like Rabbi Kiva, the Dorish Lishni say Rabbi Kiva says if you add a word that is superfluous, you're actually trying to say something in halacha. That is as follows. Now we learn about Basar. We learn as follows. Lo yes haboy, if a person sells a property, he does not include in the property. We're going to learn, when you sell a property, you include the, even how it goes, secular, you include the curtains and all the fixtures. Exactly. What's included? And outside, what's included? So the Gemara said, when you sell a house, loyas haboy, with the well, loyas hadus, the pits, they're not included in the sale. You have to talk about it separately. Afakat, even if you wrote, because you have this, the sky rights and you have the underground rights, does not include the boy. Boy is a separate entity, and a boy is a source of water that the seller needs it as well. So if the seller didn't spell it out that he's actually including that in the sale, not included. And now, okay, so the seller owns the rights to the well, and the buyer owns everything else. So how does the seller get to the well? It's trespassing. So the Chachamim say, as Rabbi Kiva says, when you sell, you're very generous. So you would have sold the entire property, including that road that you have or that trail that you use to get to the well, because you're very generous. So now if I want to go there, either I can fly there and land on it, or I have to purchase it and negotiate some kind of arrangement with your guy. That's a Bakiva. Chachamim say, ain't totally good that you don't have to buy, because when you sell, you always take care of yourself first. And I definitely would have made sure that I can retain the rights to this trail to get to the well. Since the well is mine, obviously I have to get there. And I'm not that generous. However, so what's the point? But Rabbi Kiva concedes to Chachamim. If he says the word chutz, I'm selling you the house, but except I'm not selling you the bird. Now that's extra. So Chachamim said it means nothing. But Rabbi Kiva says, why did you just spell out chutz when there's not necessary? You want to say something. In that case, I agree with Chachamim that I'm saying the only thing I'm holding back is the well, but the trail you can have. Sorry, the other way around. He was just the other way around. Because I said chutz, the Rabbi Kiva was anyway. Exactly. Chutz means I want access way. They don't have to buy the data. So what is your Rabbi Kiva? If you add one word that doesn't really say anything different than what you want, the intention was, but because extra people don't waffle, they're trying to say something. So the same thing with what I was saying here. If you said shloishim yom, the yom echad, that yom is extra. Tell you I'm separating two separate. Just one more mission. We'll finish it. How do you know that I'm gonna be a Nazir? We already learned this Gemara before, so we can go quick. I'm a Nazir. Kisar Rachel. The hairs on my head. Ukafar ha'oris, like the dust on the ground. Ukachayla yam, or like the sand by the sea. Hareze Nazir olam. You're a Nazir forever. What do you mean? You're a Nazir every 30 days. Umegaleach achas l'shleishim. Every 30 days you gotta be a Nazir again and again and again. The Rosh has an interesting chakira. He doesn't answer. He just wants to know. So can you delay it? Do you have to, like Zizin Magdim and Mitzvahs? Do we apply the rule of Zizin? I'm just paraphrasing. Do you apply the rule of Zizin Magdim and Mitzvahs? He has a mitzvah to take on Naziris, to start Naziris. So every 30 days, you got to right away, the 30th day, bring your kabbanas, take your haircut, and immediately starts the 30 days again, the next 30 days. Or you can delay the Naziris, as long as it's not over Baal Ta'achah. We learned in the beginning of the Dorim that there's Baal Ta'achah by carbon Naziris as well. You have either 3 Amtedim or Sukkahs, whatever the different opinions. So as long as you're not transgressing Baal Ta'achah, you don't have to end the 30 in order to start the 30, because you're in the middle of a mitzvah right now. So interesting chakira. You only bring a carbon when you finish the Naziris, and when you finish the Naziris, you have to take a haircut and bring a carbonis. But you can, let's say it's a day after Pesach. I can wait till 3 Amtedim. Let's say I can wait till next Pesach before I take my next Naziris. I want to save money. Not much cost 3 kabbanas every month, 3 behemoths. It's an expensive business. So that's his chakira, and he doesn't spell out chakira, but the chakira is in Zizin Magdin Mitzvah. There's a mitzvah to start, but you're right in the middle of a mitzvah. What happens there? And as long as the Eish mitzvah part the mitzvah, this is exactly the same mitzvah. This is all you took upon yourself. These mitzvahs say one after another. How do we view that? Rebbe says, no, it's not so many repeated Nazirison. That's not what you do here at all. It's one long Naziris. As long as the hairs on your head, and therefore, it's not like Avshalom, it's a Nazir with no end, you're a Nazir the rest of your life, and you never take a haircut. So which is the one that according to Rebbe that you say every 30 days you got to start again? He said, so there's 2 ways of learning shot. Either because before he said Nazir singular, and that's why Rebbe doesn't like it, here's a Nazidus, or other Shem say, he said Harei Alai. When you say Harei Alai, as if you're taking upon myself a repeated thing over and over again. Versus Hareini, I will become a Nazir. Harei Alai means I'm taking upon myself a number of Nazis. So, remember, the pshat is the same. Hareini, okay, what have you said? Hareini Nazir, I'll be a Nazir, Malaya Bayis. It's an empty house, and I say I'll be a Nazir as if the house is full. A Malaya Kupa, it's an empty box, as if the box is full. So we ask him, what did he mean? Was he just exercising in hyperbole, saying, oh, he's like such a, it's like it'll be so long. If he just meant, it feels so long, it feels like it's such a tiresome thing, then it's only another for 30 days, like the previous Mishnah we had. But the Imam Stam Lazarti, I had nothing intention. I just said these words, and whatever the halacha says I should do, I'm prepared to do it. Royin Esakupa, we'll imagine that this box is Ki'ilim Malei Chardin full of mustard seeds. The Nazir Kol Yamav, and he's a Nazir the entire day, like the mustard seeds. And Rebbe Lacham, the smaller seeds, yeah, that's what it seems. Tiny little seeds. Sorry? Yeah. Malei Chardin. Harei Nazir Mekan and Malcolm Pliny. We just had that in our report. I'm a Nazir from here till we get to that place. We assess how many days it takes to get there. Even less than 30 days is a Nazir Lamed Yom. Then the minimum Nazir is 30 days. The If not, is Nazir Kiminyan Hayom. It will be a Nazir for 45 days. Then he's a Nazir for 45 days. What happens? He says Harei Nazir Kiminyan Moisacham. 365 days in the year, I will be a Nazir like the days of the year. So that doesn't mean one Naziris of a year, it means 365 Naziris. So you work it out, 365 months is how many years is that? It's basically about it's about 30 years. It's about 30 years.
That means I've taken the year and I've divided it into 30s, into units of Naziris.
No, I'll be a Nazir, like the days of the years. So there's so many days in the year, that many Naziris, and I'll take it upon myself. 365 months, I'll be a Nazir. And every 30 days, you got to take a haircut, and you bring a carbon. Yeah, because it said the word Kim by saying like the number, instead of just saying, Harei Nazir, it might be different. It's Kim. Says the Mishnah Vayter. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Maisa Hayid was a story of a person Taka made that neder, and Kivin Sheheshli Mace. As soon as he finished, he died. So they want to learn a schus. What kept him alive those years? Because he had a promise, he had to fulfill the promise. In fact, maybe that's why he did it. And if he followed the rush that you can stretch it out till next Pesach every year, he could have lived who knows how many years. You don't have to do it every 30 years.
Now I think it's my neighbor.
Let's have a Fabringen. Yeah, he passed away.